Hey, this is Paul with Ryobi Press Parts, here with another tutorial on how to replace a dog and cam in this roller. This is an oscillator roller out of the 3302M or 3302H press. It's a smaller diameter, about 1.5 inches. There's a larger oscillator roller that goes in the anchor. This particular roller takes a short dog and cam. You can purchase from us online at ryobipressparts.com. You can see this cam has like crisscross groove in it. Some of the cams and other rollers there's not a crisscross, it's just one groove. This is a short one for this particular roller. Here's a long cam for other rollers. So you make sure you're getting the right cam for the right roller. Look in your parts book or call us to get some information. So we're going to put this in. We're also going to put a new shell on here because this one is all scratched up. So we got a light new shell here. It has a couple little tiny nicks in it, but it's a lot better than this one here. So tools you're going to need here is a regular screwdriver, 2.5 millimeter Allen wrench, hammer, pair of needle nose pliers, and a 2.5 millimeter drift punch. So we're going to start by pulling the collar off the end here. Loosen up the two little Allen screws and pop that off the end like so. And then we're going to take these screws out of the end here. Actually, they're nuts that go over the screws in the middle of the roller. They're round, but they're still called nuts. I've already pre-loosened these, but usually these are pretty tight and you have to get some help, maybe somebody to help hold the roller. Now what we're going to do is we're going to hit this end of the shaft on the ground, the same end of the nuts, and this end is going to pop out. This is where the dog and cam is in this end. You know that because the zerk is on this end, the grease zerk there. So we're going to take and hit this on the ground a couple times. Let's grab a little piece of wood here. One time, just popped right out of there. That end the opposite end just popped right out. So we're just going to take this out of here like so. Then I also need this piece here because we're going to put the new shell on. So I'm just going to take, that hammer won't work. I might be able to just take this shaft and just kind of tap it in there. Yeah, there we go. Just kind of pops right out of there. There you go. It's got a bushing in there. Sometimes the bushings go bad and you replace the bushings as well. I'll have that in another video. So now we're going to take this dog out of here. This one happens to be like a glass material. And it looks to me like this happens to be the old style cam. This might need a little tap out of there like so. So you can see this only has one groove. It's a short stroke oscillator. This was used on some machines. But we're going to put the long stroke in because that's the more preferred cam on machines now. It just helps distribute the water a little better. So I've got a couple of V blocks here. I'm going to set these up so I can get that punched out of there a little easier. So should be able to just get one good whack on this pin and get it started out of there. Like that. Now you want to make sure that the longest part of the cam goes towards the end of the roller. You don't want to get it on there backwards when you put the new one on because it won't be centered on the water form roller when you put it back together. So take that out. Now we're going to get our or short cam right here, and we're going to get the pin started in there. I usually like to start the pin before I put it on the shaft, so I'm just going to get it like so, grab some needle nose. I've also have cinched the end of the pin down a little bit, you can see. It helps it get started because these metric pins are usually pretty tight. So I'm going to just lay that on there and get one good whack on it and hopefully get that started. Yep, I just don't want it to come through. If it comes through, you'll never get the shaft in there. Okay, so now we're going to, whoop, this goes under this way. Make sure it's lined up just perfect. And now I should be able to get one good whack on this without moving it to make sure I'm centered in the hole. And that didn't work, so we're going to try it again. Works better on a hard surface. I happen to be on a piece of plywood here. There's a little bit of bounce to it, so I may have to put it out on the ground here just to get it started. Just about got it. Gotta move it just a little bit. There we go. Should be good now. Now, you do want to make sure you can see it's down in there a little bit on the other side. You can feel it slightly here. You got to make sure that's flush, because if that's sticking out at all, there's a good chance it's going to mark the inside of the hub or possibly even lock up. So I'm just going to countersink that just a little bit. There we go. Okay. Okay, now we're going to take the hub again here. And I'm just going to make sure the end of this is nice and clean as it can be. And I've got a little grease here. I'm just going to put a little grease inside that cam. Get this started in here, like so. Then we're going to put the dog back in there. Make sure it's in the groove. Put it in there and hold pressure down on it while you turn the shaft, and you can see actual nice smooth action there. Okay, so now we're going to take our shell and slide this back inside here. Now the larger oscillators, there's a plate of metal that goes over there with two screws that holds it. This oscillator is so narrow in diameter, it happens the shell actually is the keeper for this. And I've already got a good amount of grease in there. I'm going to put a little grease in that hole right there. That should just slide in real easy. And then we're going to take this end. We got to make sure on this end is that the holes line up with the bolts when we're putting it back together. And you don't want them twisted in there. So I'm just going to put this on there real easy. And once I get it started in there just right, I'm just going to push it nice and easy. Start my screws back in there. You want to make sure these are pretty tight. The factory, they actually put a little bit of Loctite on them. You don't want this nut coming off here going in the press that's running. So when you get all done, you want to just make sure that it still turns good and free, which it does. Put the collars back on. Now when you put these collars on there, when you lock them down, you won't actually lock them completely until you get it back in the press, because this takes up the end play. You don't want the shaft moving side to side in the press. You just want a little bit of room between the end of the collar and the side frame where you're dropping this in the bracket. So there you go. Dog and cam replacement on a small oscillator, 3302H. Ryobi. Get the parts from us. Woo!